written by Corinne Smith, because she captured everyone's comments and her question. How are you really addressing root causes of violence when you spend more on the police than you spend on public health, violence prevention,
y'all all in the room, not with the same
and
power, y'all
mental
not.
health services combined?
Those of you who know me know that I'm very candid. I absolutely fundamentally reject.
Do we know you?
Police. I don't support it, and here's why.
Look at it.
In our city,
Look at the police clapping.
defunding the police
Y'all gonna get
means
fired.
cutting personnel. 95%.
Yeah, that's what we wanna do.
Is personnel. So if we defund, we're
Yes.
gonna do it by giving union rules by reverse seniority. And what does that mean?
The
That
funding,
means we
mental
are
health
getting
services,
rid
housing
of the
services,
youngest,
period.
most diverse,
Investing in
best
schools.
trained
Come on,
officers
period.
that we have in the police force. Which means, going back to the question that I just answered, that we are cutting black and brown young men and women that we need to build a diverse and more
We
responsible.
do not need our kids to
Now,
be police.
Let me just
We don't
finish,
need
folks.
that.
Let me
We
just
need you
finish.
to invest
It's
in our
not-
neighborhoods.
Ma'am,
Properly.
ma'am, I need you to be respectful.
Man, we
I
need you to be respectful.
I need you to be respectful.
We are being
It's
respectful.
not, for
but
me,
you're-
it's not
you're
an
gonna
either
pay your
or
bullshit.
decision.
And look at
We
how
don't
dumb
fund
he is.
one or not fund the other. We have to do both. And that's what we've been doing. In our budget that was just passed last fall, we committed $1.2 billion in mental health, in affordable housing, in making sure that we're supporting young people, in violence
We don't
prevention,
feel.
and a lot of the other things that I hear when I talk to people about this defund question and really try to understand what they need. What I hear by and large is we don't want the police department being the only thing that's funded, because community safety isn't just about the police, and I agree 1,000%. Community safety has to be about making concrete, specific investment in human capital in places. And if you look at our budget over the last 3 years, and we'll do the same thing again this coming year, we agree that we must make these kinds of strategic investments in people. If you were here when I talked at the beginning, what you heard me say was, we've got to make investments in people and places that haven't been made for decades and generations, because the starving of resources from communities is exactly what has exacerbated and created the problems that we are now trying to solve on a bigger scale.
There's another pile of questions, I always love juxtaposition of these, that ask, why aren't there more police on the west side? Why is our response time so slow? And why are you making can you make the district smaller so we can have more police in our neighborhoods?
I love all of those questions.
Sure.
You want to start?
I'll start taking them. So yes, we do have vacancies that have been compounded due to COVID from 2020 and 2021. Of course, we couldn't give it as many in-person tests. Actually, we didn't give any in-person tests for the police applicant in 2020. And so 2021's vacancies compounded between 20. But we are catching up with filling our vacancies. And the pool of candidates that's coming through, they are more diverse. More black and brown and women candidates are in our police academy. So the future for diversity is bright. Filling our vacancy is going to be a challenge, but we have made progress. The day we announced our expanded waiver for 60 hours to college, 400 candidates applied for the job. We had been averaging 100 candidates applying for the job every week. So 4 times what we normally get, and a very diverse pool, people from all over the country that were born and raised in Chicago, who couldn't get hired here, had to go somewhere else, want to come back home. And so we create created an opportunity for more people to come back home and be Chicago cops and a more diverse pool. Secondly, we prioritize the west side in staffing. So we send not only the district patrol officers to the west side, we also send our community safety team, an additional 100 officers, and we specifically dedicate those officers to the 11th district, but we also send some to the 10th and the 15th district. So the west side is our priority. So goes the west side mayor. It's not exaggerating, it's not cliche. If the west side crime is down, citywide crime is down. So we have to be successful on the west side, and we have to do it in the right way that builds trust. We can't stop and frisk. We can't mass incarcerate. We have to be here present with you when there's no crisis to build your trust. With resources, with real numbers, committed to staying on the west side in these neighborhoods. So more to come, but again, we had impact on COVID. There's a little bit of an impact on generation resignation where young people just decided to take a break, but we are making progress. We are building our staffing, and finally, we are committed to the west side districts.
And let me just add, if I can. You heard a lot of noise probably 6 weeks ago about tactical teams. And for those of you who don't know, those are the plainclothes guys. I've never seen a job where tactical teams, where officers are so quick and desperate to get out of their uniform and get into plainclothes. But the tactical teams are a critical part of our public safety. And let me just say that we are also holding them accountable. You know what you're experiencing on the west side. And I've been very clear and blunt, as has the superintendent. No one gets to sit it out. No one gets to sit it out. If you're not producing, if you're not making sure that you wake up every day and get on your shift to say, how can I do more? How can I do better? How can I make sure that I am moving the needle on violence in the areas in which I'm assigned? We don't want them. They're in the wrong job. We are paying our police officers, you well know, a lot of money. And they got fantastic benefits. Nobody gets to sit it out. They've got to be part of the fight. And so questions that you should be asking when you go to your beat meetings, when you meet with your district commanders, is what's the productivity of the tactical teams? And that will tell you a story. And we've been very clear, and the superintendent has been very clear. If you're not going to produce, if you're not going to do your job, you're not going to be on a tactical team. You will be back in uniform, chasing 911 calls, because our residents deserve all of us to perform at a level of excellence in this crisis of gun violence, and nobody can or will sit it out, not on our watch.